and welcome to this next episode of the Be You Babe podcast. Can't speak today. I'm Rachel Weaver, and today I'm so excited. I have Jen Liddy with me, and this is going to be such a great podcast. I'm so excited. So Jen left her high school teaching career to avoid a life doomed by grading crampy ninth grade Romeo and Juliet essays. Oh my God. Just who remembers writing that essay? I do. In 2013, she made a terrifying leap into entrepreneurship and learned everything the hard way, because don't we all? Today, is a content creation specialist, Jen helps personal brands step off that content creation treadmill and get on to content chaos with strategies that easify, simplify, and actually make content fun. Oh my God, Jen. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Thanks. I'm really excited to be talking about it, especially with somebody who's a human design expert, because I feel like when we know ourselves through human design, it just helps us so much more in our marketing.
Yeah, it does. That's really what a podcast is all about, is like how to figure out how to be yourself. I know I struggled for the longest time to just figure out who the hell I was, let alone how to put who I am online and feel confident and excited about
Yeah,
it.
right. It's like who I am in real life and who I want to be. And then now I have to put it out there to the world.
Yeah, it's scary. So scary. So tell me, how did you get here? Because, and I'm going to say, if we're going to put all of your links in the show notes, but what I noticed about your website and your podcast and your Instagram feed is it all felt really on point. Like, you know who you are, you know what you're good at, you know exactly who you're helping. Like, it was very succinct and I loved it. So I want to know, how did you get here from being a teacher?
Yeah. So when I was first considering leaving teaching, I left high school teaching because I was really burned out, and I had an opportunity to teach at the community college level, and that was great because I was like, I'm going to have so much more freedom. I'm going to have so much more say in what I teach. I wanted to teach this dead white man curriculum. And then I got there and it was really just more of the same, which meant I was always in front of people who were in a room and they didn't really want to be there. They didn't really care about learning how to communicate their ideas. So I was a writing teacher, and I also taught personal development to basically, it was college freshmen and sophomores at that point. So I just kind of one day I got to the end of a semester, like it was December 4th and class was ending on December 6th. And they all had this like final piece to hand in. And I'm like, you still don't know what a thesis statement is. Like, why am I banging my head and tap dancing up here? Like, I already have my degrees. I already know what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? And I just knew at that point I was really burned out of working with people who didn't care
Mhm.
about the thing that they had to do. And I just took this enormous leap, like an opportunity presented itself to shift from education and learn how to do business. So I jumped into working with two friends as business partners to help one of our friends who had a fitness studio expand and grow her fitness studio. So I didn't know anything about business,
Yeah.
and I had to learn, like I said in my bio, I really had to learn everything from the inside out. And a lot of my garbage was, I have nothing to bring to the table. I'm just a teacher.
Mm.
What the hell do I know? Who am I to be doing this? And what I have come to realize is every single thing that we do, every iteration of our lives, it's like we bring all of our stuff with us, but we forget that all of that stuff we've already done and been trained on and learned, like it's part of our makeup, and we apply it to wherever we are. But we
Yeah.
have this huge story like, I don't have an MBA, I cannot do business. And so over the course of the years, I've learned that lesson a bajillion times, that like everything I've done comes with me, and then I can just apply it to whatever is in front of me. And now so I left the fitness business, and now, I went through the iteration of being an accountability coach and a business coach. And now I've niched down to really content creation. But like everything in my past has brought me here. And it's been a very, swirly, zigzaggy journey. But I think one of the biggest messages I'd really love people to remember is that wherever you are, everything that you've already done can be applied to this next thing you want to do. You don't necessarily need another degree or certification or training. Like, you really probably have a lot of skills right now.
Oh, I love that. And so Jen, you're an emotional projector. And I always tell my projectors, there is something that you've done or achieved or healed in your own life that is going to lead to what you do now. And that is like no further. It is so good. So good for you. So tell us about this system that you've created, because obviously you figured out how to do content creation in a way that feels easy and light for you, which is always the end game for everyone, no matter what you type. Content creation needs to feel easy,
Right.
needs to be fun. Oh, tell us how you got to understanding what that was for you.
Well, one of the things I realized is you can teach people about marketing and about content and about copy, but until they have a system that works for them, with
Hmm.
them, they're not going to get it
Hmm.
out into the world. So I created a
Yeah.
5-step system. Well, we can talk about the system. And the way I came to understand it, I think being a teacher for so long and having, like 27 kids in a class who I had to differentiate my teaching for,
Yeah.
I really have gotten good at thinking about all the different kinds of brains that are in a room and how to teach a thing so that everybody who's in the room can either use or adapt the thing. So what I figured out about content creation is, first of all, we need to show up regularly. What does that mean to you? Does that mean you want to do 3 reels a day? Does that mean you want to show up 3 times a week on Instagram? Does that mean you want to send 1 email every week? Like, what does it mean for you? So you have to really, first of all, define what that means for
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
before you even decide on a system. You also, one of the gifts of understanding ourselves is, where do we love to be? So that's a big part of
Yeah.
creating content. So when I talk about a system, you
Yeah.
have to figure out, like, what can you sustain? Where does it feel good for you? And if
Mhm.
you are a person who hates writing, then why in the world would a blog be your first go-to?
Right.
So those are the kinds of things that I approached creating this system with for my clients. And then I realized, like, this system, like, everybody should know this system because it's a way to make content easier. It has 5 parts. I'll take you through the 5 parts today. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Um, but the most important thing to remember as I'm talking about this is to decide how to make this work for you with your energy, your brain, your style, and what your audience's needs are. So that's where I want to start.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, what if I come to you and I'm like, I don't know what excites me? None of it. It feels hard. Like, none of it feels exciting. How
Yeah.
do you break down that wall?
That's a really great place to start. Well, one of the things, because when people come to me, they're like, let's talk about Instagram, first of all, because
Yeah.
first, a myth of content creation is people think content equals social media.
Hmm.
Social media is just a tool that we use to share our content. It is not the only place. It is not content creation. It is a tool we use to share our messaging.
Yep.
It's a platform or a stage.
Amen.
You don't have
100%.
to be there. You don't
Yep.
have to be there, right?
Yep.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, um, even if you were like, all right, fine, I'll just use Instagram.
Hmm.
Instagram has like 3 or 4 mini platforms within it. So
Hmm.
it can be
Sure.
incredibly overwhelming for people to
Yeah.
say, I'm going to just show up on Instagram. Like, why is this so hard for me? I'm just choosing Instagram. Well, I'll tell you why it's hard, because you have reels, you have the posts that, like, the scrolling posts, you have stories, and we used to have IGTV. I mean, like, there's so many things within this one platform. So it's incredibly overwhelming. So it's a great question that you have, Rachel. Like, okay, this is all overwhelming to me. So I really want people to think about, what exactly is the overwhelm? Is it the belief that you have to be everywhere? Because that, just like that belief alone,
That
can keep
alone.
you from doing it.
Yeah.
Is it the belief that once I get started, I have to show up every single day, multiple times a day? Because that's another belief that holds people back. They worry that, like, the
Hmm.
churn will start. Some
Hmm.
people, it's the belief, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Like, who the hell am I? What am I going to say? And some people, their stuck point is, I have so much to say and I can't possibly get it all out.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those are kind of 4 thought places that most people, when they can't get it started, they have one of those beliefs. So I would
Okay.
first say if that's your issue, then you have to start by kind of debunking some of those things.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. I think when I first got started on Instagram 2.5 years ago, it was I mean, it started on Instagram, but I was like, I'm only doing static posts. I'm just going to get consistent with that. That's how I teach, like, or I don't teach it to my clients, but how I've always treated social media is like, I'm just going to do this one thing. I'm going to get really comfortable with it, make it really easy, and then I'll add more stuff to it. But yeah, I think it
Yes.
really makes sense.
I think what another thing that a lot of people do is they're looking at people who have huge businesses, like the internet
Mm,
famous gurus
yep.
who have entire teams
Yeah.
behind. They have
Yeah.
copywriters, they have social media managers, they have graphic people. Like
Yeah.
Amy Porterfield is not out there making her own graphics in Canva, everybody. Like, what, you can't expect to be at that level. But people have this expectation also of like, it's just content. It's my expertise. I speak the language. Why is this so hard? But I
Mhm.
really want to acknowledge for everybody that it is hard. I mean, I'm here to make it easier. You're here to make it easier, but that doesn't mean that there's not stuck places and there's not real
Yeah.
challenges when it comes to like, I'm not here to blow like sunshine up your butt. Like it can be really hard. So let's figure out first of all how we can make it feel good to you and how we can make it easier so
Mhm.
that you can show up regularly. And then every time you get good at something, maybe you add something else in or you hire somebody to help you a little bit. Those are the things that we're going to talk
Mm,
about today.
mhm.
Baby
Oh, I
steps,
love it.
baby steps.
I love it. Keep going. Keep
Okay. So is it okay for me to take you through the 5-step system? Because I think there's a lot of questions in there that I'll answer. Okay. So basically,
absolutely.
the kind of content that I'm going to be talking about today and the system it's basically 5 steps so you can step off the content treadmill and get out of content chaos. That's what most people need. They feel like they're drowning in content.
Yep.
And we know that we need to show up regularly and be consistent. Like we've heard all of that before, but the question is how. So in these 5 steps, we'll just start breaking that down. So the first step is you ask yourself, why am I creating content in the first place? Like,
Mhm.
why? And I don't think a lot
Mhm.
of people start there. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
are like, where am I going to be? And what am I going to say? And how am I going to do? But they don't actually say, like, what's my purpose? Like, what do I
Yeah.
want this to actually do for me? If your content is
Mhm.
supposed to be like doing some heavy lifting for you, what do you want it to do? So that's the first question. So think about this. In the next 4 to 6 weeks ahead of you,
Okay.
what's going on in your business? You might just be building an audience. That's all you
Mhm.
might be doing.
Mhm.
Or maybe you've got a really nice audience and they're set up and they know who you are and you're ready to convert them.
Mhm.
And you have maybe an offer you're going to put out there. Or maybe you have like a free thing that you're offering that you want to nurture people with, like maybe a challenge or a free class or something. But those are like huge things that we expect our content to do for us. So what we want is like, we're going to build an audience and nurture them and get them to engage and get them to convert and get them to pay us. And it's like, well, that's
Yeah.
a lot that we're
That's a
expecting of our
lot.
content.
That's a lot.
In the next 4 to 6 weeks, what would you like to focus on in your content? Just start there. So
Mm.
so like in your business, Rachel, what's coming up for you in the next 4 to 6 weeks?
Um, it's really just an offer. That's it. I mean, maybe growing. Well, for Instagram, and actually, we talk about that. So my Instagram has been one of those places that I'm like not super excited about. I have a VA that does all of the content creation for there. I mean, we work together, but it's her doing a lot of it. Um, and I'm feeling like it's not really worth it if it's not growing, it's not exciting. Like it just feels like a thing to do, right? And I am all about like if that's how you feel about it, that you need to like reconsider.
Yeah.
So we're doing an experiment over the next month to redesign the graphics essentially to make it easier to read. There's a few other like small things that we're experimenting with. So I guess on Instagram, the goal is just to tweak a few things and honestly see what the results are. Are we
Okay.
getting more engagement? Things like that.
So for your Instagram content,
Mhm.
so we're going to play with just your Instagram content today. That's all we're going to be talking about then. So for your Instagram content, your why is to increase engagement and followers.
Yeah.
So build an audience and
Yeah.
engage them.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's your step one. That's all you know that you have to do over the
Okay.
next 4 to 6 weeks. Great. And I love that you're approaching it like an experiment because
Mhm.
then you can just be curious and interested instead of like attached and like
Yeah.
fearful about it.
Yeah. And I go really easily into analysis, like, just getting
Yeah.
too far into that masculine energy. And if I don't, that's why I have to treat it like the experiment, right? Like, I'm just going to
Yes.
see how this goes because otherwise I will freak out.
I want to encourage everybody listening to treat all of their content like an experiment because
Yeah.
what works one year does not work the next, especially
So
like
true.
when we're on a platform that isn't
Yes.
ours to own. And so we can just notice things and
Yeah.
tweak from there rather than be attached in that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true. Especially for me as an MG, like I'm always changing things. I'm always like, oh, I'll do this for a little while. And then suddenly it feels like mud again. And I need to
Mm.
change what I'm doing. Right. So always going into it with like, let's just see what happens. And not that detachment is so, so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then once we know why we're creating the content, the next thing we want to know is where are we going to put it? This is what I
Mhm.
call a home-based platform. And for you, what we're talking about with you today is your home base will be Instagram, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So the home-based platform is really this is a great thing to choose. You set it, you forget it. We're going to talk about repurposing at the end of the steps, but like,
Okay.
where is that place that you are creating for, like the initial place?
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to be something that you like doing, that it's
Mm-hmm.
worthwhile, where your
Yep.
people are living or seeing
Yep.
your stuff, and something that you can keep up with.
Yeah.
So like I said at the beginning of our conversation, if you are a person who hates writing, having your home base be a blog is not a good idea for you. That's just not going to be sustainable for you, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
if you're a person who yet hasn't yet gotten your like video muscles built up yet, why would you start a YouTube channel first? Like that's just not
Mm-hmm.
your first go-to place. So I want people to think about where do they want to be, that there's this nexus of what feels good to me and where my audience is.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's what I did last year. Last year was the home base was the Facebook group. I created all
Okay.
the content there and it was all repurposed in other places.
Beautiful.
Now it's switching to like the podcast is the home base and
Mhm.
everything filters out from there. But I love that home base idea that, yeah, so good.
A lot of people will be like, "Oh, I'm a coach for CEOs, but my home base is Instagram." Why would your home base be Instagram? Get on LinkedIn, right? Like
Yeah.
that's not so we have to be really smart about our home base and it has to
Yeah.
work for us and them,
Yes.
our audience. So
Yeah.
that's step 2.
Yes. Love it.
Step
Okay.
3 is where we're going to spend most of our time talking because it takes the most time to actually work this piece. And step 3, the question here is, what am I going to say? It's an important piece. And this is
Yeah.
where people get really tripped up. So what I'm going to teach to tell you in step 3, I want you to think about an umbrella. And that is like your theme. It's a
Hmm.
big theme, topic, subject, whatever it is that your audience needs to learn about in order for your goal, that your step 1 goal, like, why am I doing this? That it has to match that, right?
Okay.
So if your goal would be like, say, um, I want people to buy my program. That would be the reason that you're doing your
Hmm.
content in the first place. You know, you're going to be on Instagram. And then, okay, well, what's a topic that you can talk about that kind of helps people shift into the mindset of like, this is a program for me. I'm
Yeah.
going to be able to get results from this. This is going to solve my problem. I'm the
Hmm.
type of person who can accomplish this.
Hmm.
So, whatever that might be. So, maybe like a lot of coaches talk about like boundaries or, mindset or whatever. So, it really could be something very
Confidence.
confidence, whatever. So, you want to choose an umbrella topic. But the
Yeah.
mistake that people make is they hammer their audience or they fire hose them, is the word I use, with like so much information in
Yeah.
every post about that topic, Or they're talking about confidence one day and boundaries the next day and mindset and money and all like, or they're all over the place, like spraying their audience. So I like to encourage my audience and my clients to pick a topic that your audience needs to learn about in order to take the actions you want them to take, and break it down into what I call fish food, like little teeny tiny bits, so that you're not fire hosing them, that they don't have a ton to absorb. Let them like go take a little piece of fish food, go to their little castle in the sand, digest it,
Yeah.
and then come back for more when they're ready. So basically what this looks like is you have a theme for, it could be a month, and then
Okay.
you break that down, right? Like you could talk about the background of this thing or what this thing is, or a little teeny tiny tool, the myths, the things in your industry you want to bust open, a story, a success story, a personal story. Like there's all little things that you can do. And the mistake that a lot of people make is they have this giant topic. There's so much to share about it. They write like a 3,500 word or 6,000 word blog post about it. And then they expect people to read 6,000 words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody really is doing that right now,
No,
especially on Instagram. I mean, you even
especially there.
those long like posts, those long content, those long, like captions, nobody really has the capacity. And so again, figure out who your audience is and what their capacity is, but break down the information that you have to share for people
Yeah.
and give it to them over the course of 4 to 6 weeks. It really makes a huge difference for them.
Fascinating. I love this. Love this.
Yeah. The questions I will get at this point are, okay, if I'm going to talk about my thing for 4 to 6 weeks, aren't people going to be bored?
Yeah, I could see people asking that question. I could also see, will I get bored?
That you nailed it, because your audience won't get bored.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Your audience, first of all, only 1 to 2% of your social audience is seeing anything
Yep.
organic. Even if you
Exactly.
nail your audience and you've got a great open rate, what is 30% of your people seeing your stuff?
Yep. Yeah.
It's not like everybody's seeing everything. And also, I like to remind people, you probably live in a house with other people who are annoying and don't pick up their socks and don't put the toothpaste cap on and don't put down the toilet seat. And you have to tell them 5,000 times to do those things. Like, just like in our families, our audiences need to hear things over and over and over
They
in different
do.
ways before they
They
get
do.
it. So we don't
Yeah.
really have to worry that our audience is going to be bored. We have to worry that we have to manage our own boredom, because we're creative, we're problem
Mhm.
solvers, our minds are
Mhm.
going a million miles an hour, and we have so much to share because we know our audience needs to learn so much about this thing that we're an expert on.
I love this because especially with when what we were talking about before, treating it like an experiment. It's like a small sprint. I used to do the 90-day uh is it 90-day
Year,
like
the 90 day
goals or
year.
something?
Uh-huh.
I can't remember who put it out, but anyway, it was like a 90-day sprint, right? You set this goal, you break it down, and that's all the only thing you focus on for those 90 days. And you end up accomplishing so much more in a shorter amount of time, right? It's kind of what we're talking about. We're setting a goal and an intention. We're letting go of the results and saying, like, this is just, let's like treat it like an experiment. Let's see what happens. And then you sprint to that goal and then reassess at the end. I love that. It feels, especially for me as an MG, it kind of keeps things alive. Like, all right, fine. If this works, great. If it doesn't, then I'll move on to something else. Like, whatever. Like,
That's the thing. If it doesn't work, it's not like you run out of ideas. You've got a million ideas
I
you could talk about in your
exactly.
content. Yeah.
Yeah.
After 3 weeks, you're like, okay, I've explored this topic as deeply as I want to, and
Yep.
I want to shift to something else. Then you just do it again. You pick another umbrella topic, you break
Yep.
it down into 3 or 4 subtopics, and you just give it to your audience in a way that they can digest it.
Well, and
So
especially and with Instagram, you think about all the different ways that you can post. You can do a long form post, you could do a reel, you can do a carousel, you can like break it down into all these different things. And it's, yeah, everybody's getting a little different piece. It's explained in a little different way. Love it. I love that.
yeah, another way to think about this is I see people who are like 10 reasons why you should, blah 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 for better sleep, for example, or 5 things you should do for better sleep or something. Imagine if you just took one of those each day and you made those your posts, or
Yeah.
you made that your reel. Like, you don't need to give everything to your audience in one fell swoop, mostly because they're overloaded. But it keeps them coming back for more. Like
Hmm.
this over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to talk about 10 tiny changes you can make to have a better night's sleep.
Yep.
Fantastic. I'm going to try one tonight. Instead of like, here's 10, and then I'll save this post and I'm never going to go back to it. Like I want people when they're creating their content to think about their own consumption habits.
Yep. I like that.
Audience is doing the same things.
Hmm. Uh-huh. 100%. I love that. Yeah. They're going to save it, but they'll never go.
They'll never
And
come
it's not going to help them. Really. It's just
That's the
overloading
thing.
them and they won't buy from you. They'll save the post, but they'll never buy from you.
That's exactly right. And our goal as heart-centered entrepreneurs, highly sensitive entrepreneurs, creatives
Hmm.
is like the whole thing. Yes, we want to make money and we want to help people. And
Hmm.
fire hosing people with too much content does not help them.
No. Nope. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is so good. Keep going.
Okay. So then once you've got your like, so the way that I do this is basically I'll choose a theme for a month. Like calls to action would be a great theme for me to talk about. And I could break it down like week 1, what is a call to action? Week 2, what are some of the myths about calls to action? Week 3, here's an example of a client who started using calls to action and the successes that she had after that. And then week 4 could be, hey, here's like 4 or 5 little tweaks to your calls to action that you could implement right now.
Mhm.
So that would be me talking about this for a month. And I guarantee you that by the end of a month, a fraction of people would actually see it. A fraction of people would actually do it. And
Yeah.
some people would still be like, what's a call to action? Like, this is the way humans are, right? But I have basically 4x'd my content that I could have
Yeah.
just done in like one YouTube video or one blog post or even one podcast.
Yeah.
But now they've got it dripped out over the course of a month. So that's how I do my content, and I plan by the month, and it has saved my sanity. It gives me so much time. And then the thing is, once I kind of have the umbrella and then the 4 subtopics, I know why I'm doing it. I know where I'm doing it. And I know what I'm saying. I'm kind of like set up for a month. Now I just need
Yeah.
to 2 more steps, and they're actually the more difficult steps,
Okay.
because step 4 is when are you going to actually write this thing or create this thing? And so step 4 is really about just get it on the freaking calendar.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that. I'm like, oh, I could do all these things. I make the list and then I don't know.
The steps 1, 2, and 3 are all like ideation stuff, but step 4
Mhm.
is like the rubber meets the road. Let's get some traction. Let's
Yeah.
take action.
Yeah.
And this is where all of your nonsense will start to inflame. Like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm not a good writer. I don't want to be on camera. I don't know, like, how should I
Mhm.
say it? I don't
Mhm.
have my makeup done. Like, whatever nonsense people say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing about step 4 that I like to give for advice is give yourself, an hour per thing to create it. So like when I'm going to write my week 1 thing, I'm going to give myself an hour. If I give myself 2 hours, I take 2 hours. If I give myself 3 hours, I take
Ew.
3
Yes. I
hours.
was just talking about that with another client. I'm like, yeah, if I give myself 3 hours, I'm going to take 3 hours to do this thing that could probably take me 45 minutes.
Yeah. And we get really mired down in our perfectionism because we want it to go out professionally and look beautiful and be
Yep.
perfect. But it,
Yep.
it really, you're doing yourself a disservice because it just, your audience needs to get it into their ears and their
Yeah.
eyes and their
Yeah.
brains.
Yeah.
And so the longer you take, it's really like, it's a procrastination tactic. So step 4 is, when is it going to be on? When are you going to get this done? When is it going to be on your calendar?
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Yep.
And then we're at step 5. Step 5 is all about how can we reuse what we've already created.
Mm.
So, you chose your home-based content in step 2.
Mhm.
Okay, where else could you repurpose, reuse this thing?
Yep.
And that doesn't necessarily mean like, if you have a blog post that you just slap the whole thing up on LinkedIn, but how can you repurpose the little pieces and parts in it? Like maybe there's an amazing quotation that you wanted to
Mhm.
pull out, or maybe there's like a paragraph from a blog that could be repurposed as a social media post. So you have to kind of decide, where are my other platforms? And
Mhm.
if you don't have help and you're on like 5 or 6 platforms, you're probably drowning right now.
Winning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So what I always ask people to do is, if you don't have a team, you're on 1, 2, or maybe 3 platforms, but that's probably all you can handle.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry that you're human and that you have capacity limits, but until you have a team, which are the platforms that are going to be best for you? And how can we repurpose everything that you've already created and
Yep.
kind of expand it so it gets out
Yep.
into the ethers in more bite-sized pieces?
Yeah. That's so true. I know for me, 2 is my absolute max, and I was like screaming for help. Can't.
Yes.
And I have an MG, and I'm like wanting to do all the things
And
all the
yeah, you guys are
time.
like Energizer bunnies.
And I was like, nope, this is not the good use of my energy. So yeah.
So then let's talk about how you could repurpose. So if we're talking about like Instagram is your home-based content, and you've decided, okay, these are the things I'm going to talk about to
Hmm.
help me reach my goal, my purpose.
Hmm.
You've put the time on the calendar to make it happen with your VA. And then, okay, how else can I use this?
Mm,
So, is there posts that could be repurposed into like a visual, like with a carousel, like all
yeah.
slides for a carousel,
Yep.
literally taking the stuff that's on the post and put it into visuals, right? So that
Hmm.
people, they're just seeing it in a different way. It could still be in the
Yes.
scroll, the up down scroll, they're just
Yes.
now seeing it in a different way. Or how could that be
Yep.
turned into a story that maybe you save in your highlights so it gets
Hmm.
more or it could be turned into a reel. Like
Hmm.
even within Instagram, there's a lot of things. You could pull out a quotation that could be repurposed,
Hmm.
um, to a beautiful background with some music behind it, and then just the quotation is on the reel or something
Yep.
like that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't have to, like, repurpose does not mean that it's exactly the same. It's like, how can you mine for gold in this thing you've already created?
And adjust it just a little bit. And yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
We do a lot of repurposing to LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Um, I need to repurpose it back into my Facebook group. She's great with like creating different types of content on Instagram. My sticking point that I always say, I'm like, I should,
Mhm.
is be more present myself on the platform, doing an actual reel myself,
Mhm.
being in the stories that up until recently has not been a priority. So it hasn't happened.
Do you show your face in Instagram?
Maybe once a week.
Okay. So that
Maybe.
could be another game changer for you as you have this Instagram specific goal. And
Mhm.
again, if you put a timer on it and you were like, I'm going to just do a really easy reel where I put
Yep.
my face on, or I'm going to do a story
Yep.
twice a week where I'm using my face, and you're repurposing content you've already created, that might increase
Mhm.
the goals that you want to achieve there too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something I've been like, I should. But just hasn't been a priority. But that's a good idea to rep it into this next month to see what
If it
happens.
affects things, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
people really do want to see people's faces, and they want to see into their worlds, and they want to hear their voices. And I do want to say to people, like, I am not a person who loves being on camera. You wouldn't know it to look at my feed. Like, I have really forced myself to kind of overcome that, but I constantly have an old story about how I look and what people want to see. And,
Yeah.
I don't want to be annoying, and I don't want to be too much. And it's a struggle. And I'm a content creation specialist, and I do this all the time. So I just want to say to people, the
Yeah.
system is simple. Like, once you understand the system, you're like, okay, great. I've got it all planned. Now, thank you, Jen. This was amazing. But somehow you're still not like doing it.
Yeah.
That's because there's so much junk underneath it about what does it mean to be visible, and who will judge me, and what will people think, and there's all that crap. That is the real work of content creation. Well, that's the real work of content publishing. That's the real stuff.
Yeah. That's so true. And I think for me, my underlying one is always no one cares what I'm saying, what I have to say.
Right.
That's mine. Yeah. Yeah.
The
So
other
good.
thing that people will say is like, there's so many people already doing what I do out there. Why would they need me?
Yep. That's a big one
Those
too.
are other things.
Yep.
And I asked my membership people, I gave them a prompt in the group and I said, if you were going to do it over again, or here's something that was the prompt. What's one thing you don't know about me? That's a prompt that I gave them. And
Mhm.
immediately they were all like, nobody gives a shit about me. Nobody thinks about me. Nobody cares about me. Why does anybody care about me? And I'm like, so I asked them to reverse it. And I said, when you see your favorite creators sharing about their life or saying, here's something you don't know about me, what do you do? And they all said, I tune in, I listen, I perk up, I like pay
Yeah.
attention. And so
Mhm.
again, we forget that our audience, we are that to our audiences.
Mhm.
The expertise that we all have, it's like breathing, Rachel. It's like you are just so mired in your greatness that you don't really even think about it because it comes so easy to you,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
forget that it does not come easy to your people. And they're like scooping up what you have to say with a spoon. And they're
They
like,
don't. Yeah.
oh my God, I never thought of it that way. Right.
Yes. And I totally know, I notice the difference when I am confident in what I'm doing versus, I mean, it's taken me a really long time to get to confidence. I mean, that was my big underlying worthiness, like all of that, we're working through that. And the light switch that happened when I was able to own it and be like, this is what I do and I'm great at it and I'm confident in it. And it was a light bulb switch. And for me, and especially in terms of like showing up as myself.
What was the light bulb switch for you? What happened?
Um, Taking back my power. And for a while, I didn't even understand what that meant. Like, what do you mean by that? And it was like, no, this is the story that I want. This is how I want to show up. Weird. The microphone was weird. Um, this is how I want to show up. And um, so I had to kind of deal with the stories behind it and go, this is not what I want to be telling myself anymore. And every time it came up, I danced and I said a different story. So
Oh, wow. That's so cool that that's your way of working it through your body.
yeah, yeah. And maybe it's the sacral energy of like, I got to tap into that to really,
Mhm.
it can't just be up here. It can't be just me saying it. Like, I need to like move my body in order to really cement it in. But yeah.
I guess I would really love for people to take that away from this. Like the system that I share makes so much sense. Like why, where, what,
Beautiful. It's so simple.
when, and how else am I going to use it? Like it's so simple.
Yeah.
So when you get tripped up, it's not, God, it's just like you're making it harder than it needs to be. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's real stuff here that we need to work through
Mm,
and clear
yes.
because it's not that you don't know what to say. It's not that you're not an expert. It's
Yeah.
that, for me, the switch was who is the person that I'm so afraid of seeing my stuff and would judge me for it?
Oh, interesting.
And it was always somebody like, some moron from middle school or my dad. Like my dad
Yeah.
is not interested in my business at all. He never asks me about it. And I'm like, what would my dad think if he saw this? And I'm like, I don't care. He's not paying my bills. He's not my ideal
Yeah.
client. He's
Yeah.
not my audience member. He's not interested. And I feel like we all have maybe this person who were like, oh, if they saw my stuff, I would be so embarrassed. And I
Mm,
guess for me, the switch was like, why should I be embarrassed? Like doing this work and moving through these blocks is what has brought me into a business that like I'm not burned out by, and I'm actually making money on, and I'm actually like doing the things that I'm really good at doing. Like
oh,
I guess I have to say screw off to those people, like the girl from, and there's this, one time a friend said on Facebook, I had posted, this was years ago, a college friend, I had posted, oh, it's the first of the month and a Sunday. It's the best day to like start something new. And she posted underneath, like, who the hell is this? Where's the Jen that I knew in college? And I
wow.
was like, oh, yeah, the Jen she knew in college was like snarky and negative and sarcastic and never thought of this kind of stuff. But like, guess what? I've
People
grown and I
change. People
changed.
change.
And
Shocking.
I think like we have to give ourselves permission to like let go of those judgments from the other people, those mental invisible judgments,
Yeah.
and also like embrace the fact that we're allowed to move into this new
Mm,
version of ourselves.
yeah. Yeah.
And the other third thing I think that I find with a lot of my clients is we have these stories around like, oh, I don't want to be seen
Hmm.
and I'm embarrassed and what will they think of me and am I too much? And frankly, like most of the people that we think are thinking those things, like they're not thinking about us.
No.
They're just
Mm-mm.
not that interested. My dad is a great example. He's just not that interested, right? And
Yep.
that's like hurtful. And I work on that in therapy. Believe me, I work on that in therapy. But like he's just not thinking about me. So I'm giving it so much more credence than anybody actually is giving it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Yeah.
I hope that's helpful for somebody out there.
I think it was absolutely helpful. I mean, and it's entrepreneurship in a nutshell too. Like it is like trial by fire, learn to grow and deal with your shadow or it'd be left in the dust. Like you have to face those shadow things and work through them and figure out how to get past it.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like nothing brings up your own garbage like trying to run a business. And then,
So true.
the last thing I guess I want to say about this is you got into your business because you're an expert and
Hmm.
you really help people. And
Yeah.
now suddenly you have to become a content creator and a marketing maven. And you're just like, I didn't get into this to become a content machine. So if
Yeah.
I can encourage people to, lean into their energy, lean into their style, use this 5-step system to create marketing content that feels good for you,
Yeah.
make it work for you. Understand that like even the people who are super successful, like I'm talking about the internet gurus and the people who are doing it well, they are also struggling. This is not necessarily
Yeah.
easy for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
So don't think like you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it wrong.
Mm-mm. And the more you can have fun doing it, the
Yeah.
more people will be attracted to that, comment and give you. I talk a lot about the energy exchange. If you're putting all of this stuff out there and you're not getting anything back, it's going to feel really hard. But if you're putting
Yes.
stuff out there and it's fun and you're getting comments and you're getting people going, I love this, keep going, it's gonna fuel you even more to keep going and to keep putting yourself out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, so where can people find you? Because I know they're gonna want to know.
Oh, well, I'm on Instagram at Jen Liddy Coach. I'm a 1N Jen, so it's just Jen Liddy Coach. You can search for me. But honestly, one of the best places to find me is right at my website, jenliddy.com. There's a lot of information there. There's like freebies you can download. I have a content planner that outlines what this looks like in real life. You can get that at
Excellent.
jenliddy.com/content planner. And I also have a podcast called Content Creation Made Easy, where every single week I either have an expert or I break something down so that this all feels a little more realistic and sustainable and doable for the normal person.
And it's so good. I started binging it. It's so good.
Oh, thanks. I'm so glad. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen, for coming
Thanks for
today.
inviting me on to speak with your audience. It's so nice to get to know you too.
All right. Well, have a great week, guys.
Bye.